Snow drifted across the empty town square like slow-falling ashes, dancing through the glow of tired Christmas lights. The wind moaned between the buildings, scattering strands of tinsel that shimmered like broken hopes on the frozen pavement. It was supposed to be a night of warmth, a night for family, a night for laughter. But on a lonely bench at the far end of the square, a woman sat trembling beneath the icy sky, a bundled newborn in her arms, and two little girls pressed tightly against her sides. Her name was Mira. Her fingers were stiff from the cold, her knuckles pale as she pulled her daughters closer. Their small boots dragged shaky lines in the snow as they tried to stay warm. Mira's breath drifted into the night like fading smoke, and every exhale carried the same desperate prayer. Please, let my children be okay tonight. Her world had collapsed piece by piece over the past 8 months, and tonight felt like the final crack in the glass. Before her story continues, if you believe in kindness, in compassion, in second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Tales by Nanya. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your presence truly means the world to this community. Mira lowered her head as the wind tightened its cold fingers around her. Her daughters, Lena, age 7, and Mara, only 5, leaned into her, their cheeks flushed with a painful pink. Lena tugged lightly at her mother's worn coat. "Mom, did Santa forget us this year?" she whispered. The question stabbed deeper than the cold. Mira swallowed the lump in her throat. She blinked hard, fighting the tears freezing at the corners of her eyes. "No, sweetheart," she whispered. "Santa never forgets good children." But her voice cracked, and the girls heard it. She didn't want them to see the fear living behind her smile, the truth that she had run out of options, out of money, out of hope. When her husband Eli died in a construction accident earlier that year, everything in their world fell apart. His death left a hole not only in their hearts but also in the life they had built. Bills piled faster than she could pay. Her part-time job at the bakery ended when the shop closed. Their landlord refused to wait, and 2 days before Christmas, the eviction notice came. She packed what she could into a worn stroller, bundled her baby boy, Noel, and walked with her daughters through the freezing streets, searching for anywhere, to shelter them. But every door seemed locked. Every hope felt thin. Across the snowy lot, under a flickering lamppost, an old olive-green truck idled quietly. A man stepped out, his boots sinking into the fresh layer of snow. He wore a dark uniform jacket and shoulders weighed down by life. His name was Jace Whitford, a former Army medic who had returned home only a week earlier after years of deployment. He had seen war, loss, sacrifice, things that never left a man. And though he came back hoping for peace, all he found was the sharp loneliness that comes when the world moves on without you. Beside him walked Coda, his loyal Belgian Malinois, moving with gentle alertness. Jace had been driving slowly through town, letting memory guide him. When he noticed the small shape on the bench, the woman hunched forward, the 2 small girls clinging to her, the tiny infant shifting weakly against her chest. At first, he hesitated. People had their privacy. People had their pride. But then he saw the tremble in her shoulders. He saw the girls' hats pulled low to protect their faces from the biting wind. He saw how thin her coat was, too thin for the cruel cold of December. And something inside him, something buried under grief and silence, began to pull him toward them. He approached slowly, Coda remaining close. The moment Mira sensed footsteps, she looked up, fear tightening her features. She looked exhausted, cold, worn. But beneath the tired eyes, Jace saw something else. Strength. Quiet kind. The kind that refuses to quit even when the world tries to break you. Their eyes met for a long second, and for a moment, the falling snow seemed to soften around them. Jace didn't speak right away. He knelt so he wouldn't tower over the girls, letting Coda sit beside him. The dog's gentle presence eased the children a little. Mara even reached out a cautious hand. Jace took in the scene carefully, Lena gripping her mother's sleeve, Mara rubbing her hands together for warmth, the baby letting out a soft, weak cry. Mira murmured apologies to the infant, though none of this was her fault. Something inside Jace twisted painfully. He thought of the families he had treated during the war, the mothers who held their children with the same fierce desperation. He could not walk away. Not again. Not tonight. When he finally spoke, his voice was warm, low, steady. The kind of voice meant to soothe. "Are you all right?" he asked gently, though he already knew the answer. Mira tried to say yes, but the lie cracked as soon as it left her lips. Her eyes glistened with shame as she admitted, in barely more than a whisper, that they had nowhere to go. She apologized again and again, as if suffering required an explanation. Jace felt anger flare, not at her but at life, at the cruelty of circumstances, at a world where a mother could be left alone on Christmas night with 3 children and no safe place to sleep. He extended his hand, not forcefully, not urgently, but gently. A simple offer, a bridge. "You don't have to apologize," he said softly. "You're doing everything you can. No mother should be out here in this cold." Snow gathered on his sleeve as he continued, "Come with me, please." Mira froze, not from the cold, from fear. Trust was expensive. Trust had already cost her too much. But then she looked at her daughters. Their red noses, their shaking hands, their small bodies pressed tightly against her for warmth. Lena gave a small nod. Mara whispered, "Mommy, please." When Mira looked back at Jace, she didn't see pity. She saw sincerity. She saw steadiness. She saw a man who wasn't trying to save her, just trying to help her stand. She placed her hand in his. It was cold, fragile, but full of a quiet hope she had been afraid to feel. Jace guided them to his truck, helping the girls climb in, brushing the snow gently from their coats. Coda jumped into the back seat and sat close to the children, as if claiming them under his protection. The warmth of the truck made Mira gasp. It was the first warm air she had felt all day. Jace drove them to his cabin on the edge of town. Not a perfect place, not a fancy place, but a safe one. A place where lights glowed softly, blankets were warm, and the walls didn't let the cold in. He gave them food. He found warm clothes for the girls. He wrapped the baby in a thick blanket. And for the first time in months, Mira felt herself exhale without shaking. Before we move into the emotional ending of this story, if this moment has touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Tales by Nanya. Your support helps bring more stories of hope to life. Days turned into weeks. Slowly, carefully, gently, Mira and her children began to heal. Jace never overwhelmed them with kindness. He offered it quietly, consistently, with a patience that Mira didn't know people could still have. He repaired Lena's broken boot zipper. He helped Mira update her resume. He drove her to job interviews until she secured a steady job at a local craft store. He bought formula for the baby without making her feel ashamed. In return, Mira brought life back into the cabin. She cooked small meals when she could. She helped tidy up. She laughed sometimes. Small, soft laughs at first. Then real ones, the kind Jace hadn't heard in years. Her children found joy again. They played with Coda every morning. They drew pictures for Jace and taped them on the fridge. And Jace found pieces of himself he thought he had lost forever. He found purpose in helping a broken family rebuild. He found comfort in their presence. He found warmth in the laughter of children and the quiet strength of their mother. By spring, the snow melted into bright patches of green. Birds returned. Sunlight stayed longer. Mira stood outside one warm afternoon, watching Lena and Mara chase Coda across the yard, while baby Noel babbled on a blanket beside them. Something bloomed inside her chest. A mixture of gratitude, safety, and the faint spark of something she had buried deep. Hope, and maybe love. Jace walked out onto the porch, hands in his pockets, watching the children with a soft smile. He didn't say anything, and he didn't need to. Mira didn't either. They simply stood side by side, breathing in the gentle air of new beginnings. Some miracles arrive quietly. Some families form in the most unexpected moments. And sometimes, a single act of kindness on a cold Christmas night becomes the start of a lifetime of healing, hope, and heart. Before you go, tell us in the comments which moment touched you the most. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Tales by Nanya for more stories that warm the heart.